September 26th, 2024.
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this Thursday morning. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And I know we're dealing with a little bit of rain, but those folks down in Florida, they're bracing for the worst.
Yes, the main thing people always mention with hurricanes, strong hurricane force winds and all that sort, but the concern is storm surge. 10+ feet of water surging up into the land. That's one of the most dangerous part of hurricanes, and thankfully we don't get them too much up here. But yeah, we have some rain showers out there this morning. Let's take a look at those current conditions. As you can see here, rain reported in Rome, Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, Watertown, Saranac Lake, but a few clouds as you head farther south and to the east. But of course, here in downtown Utica, it's a rainy start to your Thursday, and compared to the dry weather we've had over the past few weeks, I would say this is a beneficial soaking rainfall. This is much needed for a lot of areas that have been mainly dry, but in some spots the rain is falling a little heavier. In fact, primarily north and west of Utica, up near Rome, Boonville, Old Forge, northern Oneida County, seeing this surge of heavier rainfall. Matter of fact, a lightning bolt was recorded just in between Route 26 and Route 13. But heading out the door today, I got another long sleeve shirt day, but I would keep that umbrella handy, obviously. We've got rain boots expected as well. And although we're going to be rainy to start today, following that, this evening we'll see the rain taper off with potential for some sunshine for tomorrow. But with the latest updates on Hurricane Helene, this will shift our weekend forecast a little bit. We'll talk about those updates straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Rome Mayor Jeffrey Lanigan presented his
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good morning. The time now is 5:13, and we're getting you set for any road concerns as you headed over this morning on the Munson CommuteCast. And first off, stick a live look at Old Forge right now. We got some decent rainfall rates, moderate to heavy at times, and as you can see here, the road's definitely a little bit damp. But as well as take a look down into Utica at this point, especially along Court Street, as you can see here, roads still covered in water, and a reminder that with this heavier rainfall, even along parts of, for example, the arterial, watch out for some ponding on roadways. And we'll mention, of course, coming up in a few minutes, another concern that you deal with in fall when it comes to rainfall that could affect your commute to and from work. Look at traffic flow across central New York right now. Again, a few spots of some slowdowns, but most of the area is looking relatively quiet. And today, a rainy start to the day. Watch out for some ponding on the roadways. By this afternoon, rainfall gradually tapers off, and we'll actually see dry weather late this evening and turning to a nice day for your Friday. But we have updates on that weekend forecast. Talk about that straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump continue their
Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. Beneficial rain is falling over parts of central New York early today, and this will be the main weather pattern for pretty much most of the daylight hours. However, by this evening, we'll see that rainfall taper off. A live view of downtown Utica right now. The rain, as you can see on the roadways, if your screen is big enough, we can see the droplets. The rain is tapering off here locally, but we still got some more rain falling in parts of Oneida, Herkimer counties, and even farther to the north. Temperatures in the 50s for pretty much all the area. 61 in Westernville. To the south, same story, upper 50s, low 60s across the board. And the radar, again, as I mentioned, rainfall tapering off a little bit here in downtown Utica, but still remaining relatively steady and heavy at times in parts of northern Oneida County, heading into central to northern Herkimer County, even into Hamilton County as well. And zooming out, you can see the trend of the system right here. Heavier rainfall shifting north and to the east. And this approaching cold front later on today will still fire up some more showers. So today, rather unsettled. Now, I mentioned a few minutes ago that this heavier rainfall could have an impact on travel more than just ponding on roadways. A reminder that with rain falling and leaves on the ground, that when you stop a car on wet leaves, it almost acts as slippery as ice. So just a heads up, if you're going down a hill and you see a bunch of leaves on the road and it's wet, to prepare extra caution, because again, with wet leaves, they are very slippery on the roadways. We're talking about Helene now because this actually is starting to impact our weather here locally heading into the weekend. I mentioned for the past few days that high pressure keeps us dry and low pressure to our south and to our west will drag that hurricane and weaken it before it reaches our area. This is a stronger hurricane now, potentially a Category 4 when it makes landfall along the Big Bend parts of Florida. Storm surge between 10, 15, maybe even 20 feet along the shoreline right here. It continues northward, weakens a little bit, but still kind of spirals across that area as it continues farther and farther north with some remnant rain showers going as far north as Pennsylvania and, dare I say it, the border of our local area here. So watch this low pressure today shift to the north and to the east. High pressure moves in temporarily, but look at how close some of these showers are to our area heading into Saturday morning. So again, we're likely to see some of the clouds from this. Still potential isolated shower, but for now, it's not looking to be entirely sunny and entirely dry for the weekend. On our SkyCast here, you can see those showers departing to our area following this evening, and then heading into tonight, patchy fog early in the morning, turning to sunshine by Friday afternoon. But notice those clouds starting to move in Friday evening. Then into Saturday, potentially a surge of some spotty light rain heading into early Saturday morning. And so your 7-day forecast, isolated shower possible south on Saturday, mostly cloudy for Sunday, but the weekend, at least second half of the weekend, shaping up a bit more dry, and we remain dry as we head into Monday and Tuesday. The hurricane, of course, long gone, with more rain chances as we head into the week, or middle of the week on Wednesday.
Eric, thanks. A New York City bakery is offering
26th, 2024.
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning once again, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And you mentioned it, beneficial rain. Boy, did we need it, huh?
Yes, after several weeks of just a dry stretch, this is a good soaking rain in some spots early this morning. Let's take a look at what those current conditions are taking place right now. Matter of fact, areas north and west of Utica, heavier rain is falling, especially up near Rome, Watertown, Saranac Lake, Old Forge. But to the south and east, rainfall not nearly as heavy. As you can see here, the roads in downtown Utica still a little damp, as well as watch out for some ponding on the roadways. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. As you can see here, the heaviest rain is falling, especially up near Boonville, northern Atlantic County, heading up Route 28, north of Trenton, and just to the east of Williamstown in Oswego County. What you can wear today, well, I still think it's a long sleeve shirt weather. Temperatures in the 60s. It's slightly muggy out, but it is rainy, so definitely need that umbrella out there for today. Following that, this evening, in fact, late this evening, rainfall tapers off, and we'll see quiet conditions and sunshine for your Friday. But as we keep a close eye on Hurricane Helene, there's some updates to that weekend forecast, some changes, and we'll talk about that in that forecast right ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away each morning. While Hurricane Helene continues to grow in the warm waters of the Gulf, rushing toward the Florida coast this morning, the Panhandle a potential target for landfall later today. NBC's Jay Gray has been tracking the storm and has more from Tallahassee with the latest on the conditions and final preparations.
Boards to try and deflect the winds and rain. bags to try and hold out the storm surge. Others filled with supplies. Florida preparing for an assault from Helene.
Most of the models have this becoming a major hurricane. Some even have it becoming a Category 4.
The storm churning in the warm waters of the Gulf, accelerating, intensifying, and growing.
The hazards are going to be far-reaching from this area with tropical storm force winds 250 to 300 miles out.
3,500 National Guard troops have been deployed to the region, power crews from across the country.
Tropical cyclone soon to be.
And emergency response teams staged, ready to move in as soon as possible.
We could expect anything from swift water and flooded area rescues to structural collapse.
Along the coastline, the worry is not only winds well over 100 miles an hour, but a wall of water that could come with that.
I'm stressed. I mean, they're calling for a possible 10-foot surge here. I've dealt with 7. That's 3 feet higher. Yeah, I am very concerned.
Concern that stretches inland as well.
This will be the largest and most catastrophic storm that we have ever seen in recorded history of our community.
Tallahassee in the direct path of the storm. Jay Gray, NBC News, Tallahassee.
An Oswego County Sheriff's deputy was
Welcome back to Sunrise on this Thursday morning. Our 4th fall photo of the day takes us well up into the High Peaks area of the North Country, especially in the area of Lake Colden. But I want to show this. Look at this photo here. This is a painting, if I've ever seen one. Look at this amazing shot of the clouds, the sunrise, and the very calm and beautiful waters of Lake Colden, again, up in the High Peaks area. The viewer who submitted this said they spent the night up there, then woke up in the morning and took this amazing shot. So as you can see here, well, we got some colors on both sides of the lake, but very difficult to see the colors as you head up to the higher elevations. But for now, again, we're getting closer and closer to peak fall colors in the High Peaks. If you'd like to submit a photo like that one, share your foliage in your neck of the woods, send it to WKTV.com/weather/pics. Well, this morning, it's a rainy start for some folks, especially up in northern Oneida County. A rain band extending pretty much all across the northern part of the county, then into northern Herkimer County. Well, areas to the south seeing a few spotty light showers, but throughout the case today, we're going to be seeing rain showers on and off, at least until this evening. That's when things do dry up. We're talking about what we can expect heading into Friday, plus those updates on the weekend forecast straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Former NFL quarterback and Super Bowl champion Brett Favre.
New York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. Scattered to numerous showers moving through our area today. Steady rainfall still falling for some parts of the region. Downtown Utica right now, a bit less rainy than a few hours ago, but still roads a little bit damp out there. Just a heads up, you might encounter some ponding on the roadways. This is the busiest the radar has been in quite some time. Steady rainfall north of Utica, some spots heavier downpours, and a few spotty showers to the south, but a lull in the rain between I-90 and Route 20, heading as far south as parts of Edmiston and New Berlin. Zooming out, we can see the trend of this system right now. Rainfall arriving from the south and west, and then a trailing cold front sweeping through later on today. Now, a heads up, as there's some heavier rain falling, and there are leaves falling on the ground too. That when you start to stop and there's wet leaves on the road, a reminder that it is very slippery, almost entirely as slippery as ice. So if you encounter leaves on the road and the road's wet, just prepare some extra precautions and try to stop slower and earlier to give yourself some time. So the latest updates with Hurricane Helene are not good. This is going to be intensifying potentially to a Category 4 hurricane. Strong winds, life-threatening storm surge, especially along the Big Bend area of Florida, with storm surge as high as 10, 15, some spots maybe even 20 feet. So in this area right here, if you know any friends or family in this region, let them know this is serious. Follow the latest weather information, local meteorologists down there in the Tallahassee area and again, the Big Bend region. Now, what will affect us here locally? Well, this system here, this still Category 1 hurricane in Georgia will weaken to a post-tropical depression, then shift its way out to the west. But it'll still spiral under this closed low loop right here, and some of those showers might go as far north as central New York. Watch this loop here. Here's that low pressure, the rain we're seeing today. It ends, but watch how this surge of clouds and rain could go as far north as the Pennsylvania-New York border, maybe even the southern portions of central New York. So again, there's some changes to this forecast, and the reason why is because, again, that hurricane is strengthening quickly up to a Category 4 expected later on today. So this is why there might be some changes to our weekend forecast. Again, today, scattered to numerous showers across the board. Rain begins to end as we head into the evening, 5 p.m. onwards, maybe a few lingering drizzly showers south. Friday morning, patchy fog, sunshine moving in the afternoon, but by the evening, more clouds arrive. And again, you can see how close these rain showers are to our area heading into early Saturday morning. They'll fall apart as they push north, but again, we're right on the fringe of these rain showers. And so your 7-day forecast, update to the weekend. Rain shower, isolated shower possible Saturday, mostly cloudy for your Sunday. And then we still remain dry as we head into Monday and Tuesday of next week with temperatures in the upper 60s to as high as the mid 70s. We'll be right back.
The news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And that Helene is picking up steam. Folks in Florida definitely should brace themselves.
Yes, you know, friends and family along the Big Bend area, Panhandle of Florida, make sure they follow the local meteorologist because this is a serious storm, potential Category 4. Here locally, well, we're seeing rain, thankfully not the strong winds from something like a hurricane, but this is probably the most widespread I've seen rain in New York State for most of September. It's been a very dry month across the board. Rain reported all the way from Saranac Lake down to Dansville and Ithaca and as far south as Binghamton. Now the live look in downtown Utica right now. Again, there's some rain on the roadways, but most of that rainfall has tapered off in Utica for now. Most of that heavier rain is taking place north of Utica, heading into the North Country. So again, we're still keeping an eye on some spotty showers, scattered showers moving in from the south and from the west. And just today, generally unsettled. Periods of rain, temperatures in the 60s, a little muggy out. Still, I do think it's long sleeve shirt weather, but definitely a little bit tacky. But of course, keep that umbrella handy today. It's going to be a rainy one. Now, it's going to dry out as we head into tomorrow, but we have some updates on that weekend forecast as the strength of Helene has been upgraded, and that will potentially change a few things. Talk about that in that forecast straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks, and don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. Well, Rome Mayor Jeffrey Lanigan presented his budget proposal to the Common Council last night. For the first time since he took office earlier this year, and for the first time in 7 years, residents of Rome could see a tax increase. If approved by the Common Council, there would be a tax increase of 2.75%. The budget itself, just over $53 million. That's a $2.4 million increase compared to last year's budget. Mayor Lanigan was planning on a tax increase due to employment contracts for the city's major unions that were negotiated under the previous administration. But there's also an increase due to the tornado damage this past July. And as we first reported this week, the City of Rome will not be getting any relief funding from FEMA.
This year's budget was obviously we were trying to plan for the future, and we were trying to see obviously with the tornado was a huge impact on this city, and it's also going to be a huge impact financially going forward So when we sat down and really started working hard on this budget, we wanted to make sure that we were planning for that going forward, and we weren't going to leave ourselves in a bad spot.
Some key points from the proposed budget. The total, again, comes out to just over $53 million, a $34 increase for the average household in the city's inside district, and just $13 more for the city's outside district residents. We do have a link to the city's full budget plan on WKTV.com. The council will meet with the city department heads, and they have until the end of October to decide on a final budget. We are following some developing news out of New
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Welcome back. The time now is 6:13. We're getting you set to, in case you encounter any traffic or any travel difficulties here on the Munson CommuteCast. Now, of course, we're in central New York. Traffic's not usually a big deal, but when it comes to weather, for example, like today, we've got heavier rainfall in some parts of the region, primarily in northern Herkimer County. A heads up, you could encounter some ponding on the roadways, and on top of that, with some leaves falling as well, it could make some roads a little bit slippery. So a heads up, if you encounter some of these locations where there's leaves in the road and there's some decent water, to slow down early, slow down more gradually to avoid your car from slipping. It's currently in the 50s up in the North Country, but take a look in Utica right now. Again, still some very damp roads across the board, and we'll still see that throughout the area for the next 12 or so hours. Nothing notable on the traffic tracker early this morning, but again, today, temperatures starting out in the 50s and 60s, roadway ponding possible early this morning, this afternoon, showers ending, and high temperatures in the mid-60s. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump continue their swing.
Others spoil your day. Tune in for the Storm Tracker 2 CommuteCast, brought to you by Munson. Visit Munson today and ignite curiosity and creativity. Visiting Munson and the Storm Tracker 2 CommuteCast, both free and both Utica's very own. Remember, all roads lead to Munson.
This portion of News Channel 2 is brought to you by PJ Green.
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. We've got rainfall, but keep in mind, beneficial rainfall over parts of the area today. It's been a very dry month, but as we take a look outside right now, downtown Utica, rain has tapered off for the most part. We're not done with it just yet. In fact, some spots are also still seeing the rain falling steady, for example, as you head north and west of Utica. As you can see here again, roads a little damp. Watch out for some ponding on roadways early this morning, especially north of Rome heading up towards Boonville. Parts of Route 12 and Route 8 up here are going to be seeing some heavier rainfall. On top of that, there's some more scattered showers south, and this is probably the busiest I've seen this radar in quite some time. Now, larger scale side of things, we got this low moving over our area. This is bringing that fuel needed for those showers. We did see a rumble of thunder in northern United County earlier this morning, but so far the biggest threat, of course, will be that roadway ponding. On top of that, again, as I mentioned earlier on, when you have rain falling and the leaves are falling as well, when you stop your car and there's leaves in the road, it's almost as slippery as ice. So a heads up if you are going, for example, down hills or in areas where you can see the leaves. I recommend slowing down a bit more gradually or not going nearly as fast because, again, roadways that are wet with leaves on them are very slippery. The latest updates on Hurricane Helene, which is going to be hitting the panhandle of Florida later on today as a Category 3, potentially Category 4 hurricane. It's strengthened, which is not good news. Again, those of you who know people along that panhandle area of Florida, make sure they're following the latest weather information from their local meteorologists and, of course, the National Weather Service. With this system, this eventual still Category 1 hurricane in Georgia, it'll hook out to the west and weaken into a post-tropical depression. But the fuel of this system could still go as far north as potentially New York State. Now, you see here, bigger picture. Low pressure here, bringing the rain showers today. That cold front sweeps through. We dry out for Friday, but notice some of those rain showers pushing as far north as the border of New York and Pennsylvania. And so we're keeping a close eye on that. Matter of fact, we are updating our weekend forecast based off of that information. Scattered showers ending this evening with quiet conditions tomorrow with patchy fog in the morning and temperatures as high as the low 70s. But again, isolated shower possible Saturday, especially south. Mostly cloudy on Sunday, so not nearly as sunny and dry based off of the latest trends of Hurricane Helene. We'll, of course, provide latest updates as more data and information becomes available. Gary?
Eric, thank you. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow.
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And the word beneficial right before rain definitely is needed.
Yes, such a dry month of September, and this rain, a lot of folks have been watering their flowers, even though we're getting closer to October, flowers still blooming. But beneficial rain. We'll see how it's shaping up right now. Let's take a look outside across central New York. Temperatures and conditions. Rain showers reported for pretty much all of New York State. About as rainy as I've seen the state in quite some time. And in downtown Utica right now, there's still some damp roads out there ponding on the roadways, but the heaviest of rain has ended for this little dry slot now in the Utica area. With heavier rain to the north, just north of Rome, and heavier rain out near Hamilton and Madison County, but a dry slot right here. But overall, this is not going to be a common trend. We got some scattered showers expected today, and overall just unsettled conditions. So heading out the door this morning, it's slightly muggy, but still I think long sleeve shirt weather, but keep that umbrella handy. It's still a rainy one out there today. And following that, the rain does end. We'll track dry conditions for your Friday, but with the latest trends of Hurricane Helene potentially strengthening, this will likely impact our weather over the weekend. We'll talk about those latest updates in that forecast straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And as Eric mentioned, Hurricane Helene is continuing to grow in the warm waters of the Gulf, rushing toward the Florida coast this morning. Now, the Panhandle, a potential target for landfall later today. NBC's Jay Gray has been tracking the storm and has more now from Tallahassee with the latest on the conditions and the final preparations.
Helene still churning out in the Gulf, targeting Florida's west coast. The National Hurricane Center warning this storm could be a monster with winds over 100 miles an hour and what they are calling a, quote, catastrophic and deadly storm surge. All of that now just hours from landfall. Boards to try and deflect the winds and rain. Bags to try and hold out the storm surge. Others filled with supplies. Florida preparing for an assault from Helene.
Most of the models have this becoming a major hurricane. Some even have it becoming a Category 4.
The storm churning in the warm waters of the Gulf, accelerating, intensifying, and growing.
The hazards are going to be far-reaching from this area with tropical storm force winds 250 to 300 miles out.
3,500 National Guard troops have been deployed to the region, power crews from across the country.
Tropical cyclone soon to be.
And emergency response teams staged, ready to move in as soon as possible.
We could expect anything from swift water and flooded area rescues to structural collapse.
Along the coastline, the worry is not only winds well over 100 miles an hour, but a wall of water that could come with that.
I'm stressed. I mean, they're calling for a possible 10-foot surge here. I've dealt with 7. That's 3 feet higher. Yeah, I am very concerned.
Concern that stretches inland as well.
This will be the largest and most catastrophic storm that we have ever seen in recorded history of our community.
Tallahassee in the direct path of the storm. And a little more on the magnitude of this storm. FEMA says it's preparing for a multi-state event, and Helene could still be a hurricane as it crosses the Georgia border inland later this evening. In Tallahassee, I'm Jay Gray. Back to you now.
Jay, thanks. And Oswego County Sheriff's Deputy.
Welcome back on this Thursday morning. We are showing our fourth fall photo of the day today, and this one takes us to the high peaks of the Adirondacks. We were looking at Lake Holden of a peaceful sunrise, and just getting a second to look at this amazing photo right here. This is breathtaking, almost as if it's a painting. This easily could be painted. You can see there that sunrise, some morning fog lifting, and some fall foliage out in the distance. A bit difficult to see with that haze, but regardless, it's getting close to peak fall colors as you head into the high peaks of the Adirondacks within the next week or so. If you would like to submit a photo like that one, send it to the link right there on the top of your screen, WKTV.com/weather/pics. Well, this morning, radar, pretty busy. First time in quite a while we've seen rain this widespread in the morning. We'll see scattered showers linger throughout the day today with drying conditions this evening. A dry day for your Friday, but some changes to the forecast as we head into the weekend. We'll talk about that straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. A New York City Bay.
New York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. Beneficial rain is moving through our area today after a very dry month overall, well behind average for rainfall totals. Downtown Utica right now, we are seeing damp roads at this point. The heavier rain earlier this morning has tapered off, at least in the Utica area, but some spots to the north, it's still a bit heavier. Especially up near Speculator in parts of Hamilton County. That's where the heaviest rain is falling, but pretty much rain is completely widespread across the board early today. And we'll still see these widespread to scattered showers throughout the morning, afternoon, and early evening with a potential for a dry slot here and there. But following this system, we'll dry out a little bit as we head into Friday. But a heads up, with the heavier rain we've been seeing and some of the leaves starting to fall, if you see yourself on the road with a bunch of leaves and wet roads, remember, it gets very slippery. Wet leaves are as slippery as ice, so you definitely want to exercise caution when you see that. Slow down a little sooner and more gradual to give your car time to stop without slipping. On our tropical tracker this morning, we are following updates on Hurricane Helene, which is expected to rapidly intensify into a Category 3, potentially Category 4 hurricane when it makes landfall along the Big Bend panhandle area of Florida. If you know friends and family in the region, let them know this is a real deal. This is a major hurricane, and to follow weather alerts, follow the local news, follow the Weather Service for any updates regarding that. Now, the system will still be a Category 1 hurricane through parts of Georgia, then heading up north, hooking to the west. But the update that we're expecting from this is that this is a stronger hurricane, and some of that moisture could extend as far north as New York State. And on the bigger picture side of things, you can see that low pressure currently that is producing our rain today exit to our east. High pressure keeps things quiet for your Friday, but we got cloud cover moving in, heading into early Saturday, and potentially some rain moving in the southern portion of New York State. And so in our Skycast, again, today, scattered showers, beneficial rain coming to an end, drying out heading into Friday. But as we approach Saturday, here comes increasing clouds from the south, mainly altocumulus and some cirrus clouds, giving way to potentially a light shower south of Route 20. But again, that's preliminary. We'll wait for more information to come in, especially as we get into Friday and eventually Saturday. But for now, potential for an isolated shower Saturday, mostly cloudy Sunday. Then we're dry again on Monday, but we'll still be cutting it close for rain chances by the middle of next week. Gary?
Eric, thanks. We are just over a month away from
Most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Thursday morning, Central New York. We got an unsettled, rainy day today, but this is a beneficial rain for our area. It's been bone dry for most of the month. Looking at the radar and satellite, we're seeing that rainfall move through. Low pressure arriving ahead of a cold front that will bring an end to the rainfall later on today. But most of the rain, at least so far early this morning, has fallen north and west of Utica. Now that heavier rain is heading closer to Burlington and parts of Vermont. Now, with this rain falling and the leaves falling as well, it's a good reminder now that we're entering that leaf falling season to let you know that when you have rain, or at least wet roads and leaves on the road, that wet leaves are almost as slippery as ice. So you could have your car with 40-mile-per-hour speed limit stopping around 250 feet away, 80 feet compared to a dry road. So again, a heads up if you encounter a hill with some leaves on the road and wet roads as well, to bring in some extra time to slow down more gradually. Just be aware of that potential risk. Now, our eyes are to the tropics. It's not looking good for Hurricane Helene, which is rapidly intensifying from a now Category 1 to a potential Category 3, maybe even 4 hurricane when it makes landfall in the Panhandle, Big Bend area of Florida later on this evening. Now, it'll still be Category 1 status as it continues northward into parts of Georgia, heading closer to Atlanta, then shifting to the west. Now, there are updates to this system, and this could impact our weather here locally. Now, the brunt of this system will not reach us. It's still way out to the west, but the surge of tropical moisture, the strength of this hurricane, could be enough to surge in some rain showers in parts of Pennsylvania, dare I say even going as far north as New York State. The bigger picture here, as you can see, this is the system impacting us right now. Rain showers rolling through from this low pressure, a few scattered showers this evening from that cold front. Then there's the hurricane, or at least at that point, post-tropical depression hurricane right there. But as that system still stays out to the south and west, that surge of moisture could produce some spotty showers early Saturday. So the weekend is shaping up not nearly as dry as earlier anticipated. Again, the hurricane is strengthening a whole lot more, and we have a lot more consistent data now that it's officially a hurricane and not just a tropical depression. But to our Skycast, today, scattered showers. That cold front moves through this evening and will dry out with patchy fog for early Friday morning. A sunny start to the day, then increasing clouds from the south. Now, there's some wiggle room as to how far north these clouds go and how far north these rain showers go. As you can see here, some of them indicate some spotty light rain as far north as Shenango and Otsego County, maybe Route 20 by Saturday morning. But again, we'll follow the latest trends and see how this shapes up as we get more data by this evening and tomorrow. And so your 7-day forecast, isolated shower possible Saturday south, mostly cloudy Sunday. Overall, the stretch looking pretty quiet with temperatures in the upper 60s to low to mid 70s for the remainder of the next 5 to 7 days.
Join us.
WKTV Plus, your new choice for news and weather, plus a whole lot more. Watch WKTV Plus over the air on WKTV 2.3 and on Spectrum Channel 1246.
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Thursday morning, Central New York. We got an unsettled, rainy day today, but this is a beneficial rain for our area. It's been bone dry for most of the month. Looking at the radar and satellite, we're seeing that rainfall move through. Low pressure arriving ahead of a cold front that will bring an end to the rainfall later on today. But most of the rain, at least so far early this morning, has fallen north and west of Utica. Now that heavier rain is heading closer to Burlington and parts of Vermont. Now, with this rain falling and the leaves falling as well, it's a good reminder now that we're entering that leaf falling season to let you know that when you have rain, or at least wet roads and leaves on the road, that wet leaves are almost as slippery as ice. So you could have your car with 40-mile-per-hour speed limit stopping around 250 feet away, 80 feet compared to a dry road. So again, a heads up if you encounter a hill with some leaves on the road and wet roads as well, to bring in some extra time to slow down more gradually. Just be aware of that potential risk. Now, our eyes are to the tropics. It's not looking good for Hurricane Helene, which is rapidly intensifying from a now Category 1 to a potential Category 3, maybe even 4 hurricane when it makes landfall in the Panhandle, Big Bend area of Florida later on this evening. Now, it'll still be Category 1 status as it continues northward into parts of Georgia, heading closer to Atlanta, then shifting to the west. Now, there are updates to this system, and this could impact our weather here locally. Now, the brunt of this system will not reach us. It's still way out to the west, but the surge of tropical moisture, the strength of this hurricane, could be enough to surge in some rain showers in parts of Pennsylvania, dare I say even going as far north as New York State. The bigger picture here, as you can see, this is the system impacting us right now. Rain showers rolling through from this low pressure, a few scattered showers this evening from that cold front. Then there's the hurricane, or at least at that point, post-tropical depression hurricane right there. But as that system still stays out to the south and west, that surge of moisture could produce some spotty showers early Saturday. So the weekend is shaping up not nearly as dry as earlier anticipated. Again, the hurricane is strengthening a whole lot more, and we have a lot more consistent data now that it's officially a hurricane and not just a tropical depression. But to our Skycast, today, scattered showers. That cold front moves through this evening and will dry out with patchy fog for early Friday morning. A sunny start to the day, then increasing clouds from the south. Now, there's some wiggle room as to how far north these clouds go and how far north these rain showers go. As you can see here, some of them indicate some spotty late rain as far north as Shenango and Otsego County, maybe Route 20 by Saturday morning. But again, we'll follow the latest trends and see how this shapes up as we get more data by this evening and tomorrow. And so your 7-day forecast, isolated shower possible Saturday south, mostly cloudy Sunday. Overall, the stretch looking pretty quiet with temperatures in the upper 60s to low to mid 70s for the remainder of the next 5 to 7 days.
win a most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Thursday morning, Central New York. We got an unsettled, rainy day today, but this is a beneficial rain for our area. It's been bone dry for most of the month. Looking at the radar and satellite, we're seeing that rainfall move through. Low pressure arriving ahead of a cold front that will bring an end to the rainfall later on today. But most of the rain, at least so far early this morning, has fallen north and west of Utica. Now that heavier rain is heading closer to Burlington and parts of Vermont. Now, with this rain falling and the leaves falling as well, it's a good reminder now that we're entering that leaf falling season to let you know that when you have rain, or at least wet roads and leaves on the road, that wet leaves are almost as slippery as ice. So you could have your car with 40-mile-per-hour speed limit stopping around 250 feet away, 80 feet compared to a dry road. So again, a heads up if you encounter a hill with some leaves on the road and wet roads as well, to bring in some extra time to slow down more gradually. Just be aware of that potential risk. Now, our eyes are to the tropics. It's not looking good for Hurricane Helene, which is rapidly intensifying from a now Category 1 to a potential Category 3, maybe even 4 hurricane when it makes landfall in the Panhandle, Big Bend area of Florida later on this evening. Now, it'll still be Category 1 status as it continues northward into parts of Georgia, heading closer to Atlanta, then shifting to the west. Now, there are updates to this system, and this could impact our weather here locally. Now, the brunt of this system will not reach us. It's still way out to the west, but the surge of tropical moisture, the strength of this hurricane, could be enough to surge in some rain showers in parts of Pennsylvania, dare I say even going as far north as New York State. The bigger picture here, as you can see, this is the system impacting us right now. Rain showers rolling through from this low pressure, a few scattered showers this evening from that cold front. Then there's the hurricane, or at least at that point, post-tropical depression hurricane right there. But as that system still stays out to the south and west, that surge of moisture could produce some spotty showers early Saturday. So the weekend is shaping up not nearly as dry as earlier anticipated. Again, the hurricane is strengthening a whole lot more, and we have a lot more consistent data now that it's officially a hurricane and not just a tropical depression. But to our Skycast, today, scattered showers. That cold front moves through this evening and will dry out with patchy fog for early Friday morning. A sunny start to the day, then increasing clouds from the south. Now, there's some wiggle room as to how far north these clouds go and how far north these rain showers go. As you can see here, some of them indicate some spotty light rain as far north as Shenango and Otsego County, maybe Route 20 by Saturday morning. But again, we'll follow the latest trends and see how this shapes up as we get more data by this evening and tomorrow. And so your 7-day forecast, isolated shower possible Saturday south, mostly cloudy Sunday. Overall, the stretch looking pretty quiet with temperatures in the upper 60s to low to mid 70s for the remainder of the next 5 to 7 days.
This is news with Gary Liberatore.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Hurricane Helene continues to strengthen in the warm waters of the Gulf, rushing toward the Florida Panhandle as a target for landfall later today. NBC's Jay Gray has been tracking the storm and joins us now from Tallahassee with the latest on the conditions and the final preparations.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about where we are with this storm. Still churning in the Gulf, rushing toward the west coast of Florida and really gaining speed and momentum. It's those warm waters, mid-80s to near 90 in the Gulf, that act as rocket fuel for this storm. The National Hurricane Center saying this one's going to be a beast, that it's going to have winds gusting well over 100 miles an hour at landfall. And they warn about what could be, and I'm quoting here, a catastrophic and deadly storm surge, as high as 20 feet in some areas.
There is just going to be a lot of debris. I mean, it is going to push down a lot of trees, and it will cause significant damage. Now, we always prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Time to prepare. It's just about over at this point, and so those who haven't moved to a shelter, moved to higher ground, or outside the strike zone, they're going to have to ride this thing out. Now, we know that you've got power teams as well as response and recovery teams staged just outside the strike zone. They are ready to move in, but can't do that until the coast is clear. And in areas like Tallahassee, a little inland, they still expect to see major hurricane winds here, and the fear is that's going to bring down a lot of the old trees, oaks that are hundreds of years old, and that'll pull power lines down as well. In some of the hardest hit areas, they expect that they're going to have to cut their way through to get to people who may be there to restore power, and that could take not days but weeks in some areas. There is a big concern with the intensity, the magnitude of this storm. Forecasters saying it could still be hurricane strength well inland, even as it crosses into Georgia. The wind field with this massive system, its footprint about 500 miles or so. That's the latest right now on Helene. I'm Jay Gray in Tallahassee. Now back to you.
Jay, thanks. And meteorologist Eric Gaze joining us. And Eric, you were saying with the increased strength of this hurricane behind us, things could change for us as well.
Yes, that's right. With the latest trends of this hurricane strength, later on, well beyond when it makes landfall, it could fire up a few showers, potentially into the weekend. So we have the latest numbers on that coming up in just a second. But first, what's going on right now here locally? Well, we've got rainy skies, cloudy skies. It's been a rainy one, almost close to a washout, which is good news for a lot of us as we needed some desperate rainfall. Matter of fact, the highest rainfall totals have been out in northwestern parts of central New York. Camden over 2 inches. A reporter in Westmoreland picking up over 1.5 inches of rainfall. The Mesonet station right now is unresponsive with the rainfall totals, but 1.41 inches of rain in Cold Brook, over 1 inch in Woodgate and Old Forge, and less rainfall as you head down into Otsego County. So again, much needed rainfall across the region. Still steady rain for a lot of central New York with temperatures in the 60s, and the radar still looking very busy, the busiest we've seen in quite some time. However, following this, we'll see that cold front sweep through and rain showers ending with partly cloudy skies and patchy fog overnight, giving way to a great Friday. But how does that weekend shape up? We're tracking the remnants of the hurricane as we head into the weekend, and we'll talk about those rain chances looking ahead, straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And because of today's rainy weather, MVHS has decided.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon, everyone. On this Thursday, it's a rainy one out there, but a beneficial rain as it's been a very dry September. But downtown Utica right now, the road's a bit wet. Again, watch out for ponding on roadways, especially in some locations up north near Boonville and towards Lowville, where there's still some sustained heavier rainfall taking place. But for most of us, on and off to steady rain has been the main story today. Zooming out, we can see the trend of the system right here. Here's that low. The center of it is actually passing over us right now. We got this trailing cold front right here. Behind that cold front, we dry out. That's the last of the rain. So by this evening and tonight, this rain is over and done with. We have about a day or so of completely dry weather before things might change. We'll talk about that in a second. A heads up, though, again, with the rain showers today, if you are driving on a wet road that has leaves all over it, wet leaves are almost as slippery as ice. So just a heads up to slow down on roads that do have leaves covering it on wet roads. And on top of that, if you do need to slow down gradually. Give yourself enough room to brake in case your car does start to slip. But back to the main focus here in the United States weather-wise, which is, of course, the Hurricane Helene, which is, by the way, Category 2 now. It is rapidly intensifying. It is expected to reach Category 3 or 4 status by the time it makes landfall, again, in the panhandle of Florida right there. But notice how it continues northward and then begins to fall apart. But I want to emphasize this area right up here. The center of the hurricane misses us for the weekend. It shifts out to the west, but that surge of moisture, the increased strength in the system is enough to launch some tropical moisture up into central New York, stronger than the high pressure that's supposed to block it and keep us dry. And so there are some changes with that weekend forecast, unfortunately not looking nearly as dry. As you can see here, the weather maker today, that cold front sweeping through our area, it bends south. We got high pressure temporarily for your Friday, but notice that surge of tropical moisture moves to the north. That high pressure just can't fight it enough, and got some rain showers moving as far north as the southern valleys, Route 20 at this point being the cutoff. But as you can see here, this afternoon, we've got those rain showers. They taper off this evening. Maybe some lingering drizzle in the southern valleys overnight as that front turns somewhat stationary. But for most of the Mohawk Valley, we remain entirely dry. And it's going to be dry for your entire day Friday. Clouds will increase, though. And then as we head into the overnight hours into early Saturday morning, here comes that surge. And you can see here, maybe a spotty shower or two as the front falls apart when it shifts north. And so your 7-day forecast, no more completely dry weekend. I added a rain shower chance to Saturday, mostly cloudy Sunday, although I think Sunday might be the drier of the 2 days. But we're going to wait for more high-resolution data coming in. Usually it comes in this evening and as early as tomorrow morning, and that gives us our best idea of the path of the system. So again, we're not going to get directly hit from it, but the strength of it is enough to bring in some tropical moisture.
Yeah, hopefully it moves further west.
Yes.
Eric, thanks. Well, have you ever had to repair a divot while playing golf? Well, imagine Eric Gage joining us now, and we are getting some rain here, but nothing like the folks down in Florida as this thing just keeps getting closer and closer.
Yes, the hurricane's biggest risks, of course, being wind, but also being rain, storm surge, along with the wind, nearly as high as 20 feet in some spots heading up near the Big Bend. So, yes, very serious situation in Florida. Matter of fact, let's take a look at the path of that once more, because as you can see here, it's a Category 2 hurricane right now. Wind speed 105 miles per hour. It's moving mainly to the north at 14 miles per hour. So it's not moving fast, but there's a lot of strong winds inside it. Now this will hit the Big Bend of Florida, remain surprisingly still as a Category, well actually this is the update here, it looks like it's still going to be a Category 3 hurricane as it continues into parts of Georgia. So this is going to be a strong hurricane barreling inland. Then it will weaken quickly into a post-tropical depression in parts of Kentucky and the southeastern to midwestern parts of the United States. But again, we're watching the surge of tropical moisture south of us that could impact our weather over the weekend. But for right now, it's rainy in Old Forge. Some showers taking place on Oneonta, but a lull in the rain is taking place so far. And pretty much scattered to widespread showers across the board here in central New York. Following this initial rainfall today, we'll see that final cold front sweep through our area, bringing an end to the rain. and will actually dry out as we head into the overnight hours into early tomorrow morning with patchy fog giving way to sunshine, but that might change as we head into the weekend. We'll talk about that latest trends with the rainfall chances for Saturday and Sunday straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. The suspect is in custody.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
A little bit of rain collecting on the Tower Cam camera this afternoon as rain showers are still pushing through most of central New York today. A live look at downtown Utica right now. Again, it's a rainy afternoon for pretty much all of central New York. The radar is pretty busy. The busiest we've seen this radar in, I would say, since the start of September. We had some rain showers yesterday, but it wasn't nearly as widespread as this. Zooming out, we are seeing the heaviest rainfall taking place up in Old Forge and parts of Hamilton County. This is ahead of a cold front. You can notice the line right there. Behind this front, we dry out. Now, this front will turn somewhat stationary, especially just along the border of New York and Pennsylvania. So a few stray, straggly showers could still cling on in Shenango and Otsego County. But for areas north of Route 20, will remain dry for the overnight hours. A reminder again, with the leaves falling along with the rain falling, that you want to practice some extra caution if you are stopping on a wet road with leaves on it, as wet leaves are as slippery as ice, and it could cause you to skid, potentially into an accident. So a heads up that you want to slow down more gradually if you do encounter roads like this, and to just remain slower in general with your drive speed. Hurricane Helene, which is the main story for pretty much national news at this point. 105-mile-per-hour winds as this thing barrels up north, slams into the Big Bend area of Florida, and then continues as a major hurricane into Georgia before it finally begins to weaken and shift out to the west. But I want to emphasize this location up here, up near New York State, which is not going to be seeing the direct impacts of this storm, but with such a strong system, this is going to slingshot some tropical moisture up into our area. Now, beforehand, the hurricane was expected to be weaker, and this high pressure was expected to win out and prevent these showers from approaching any farther than, let's say, Pennsylvania. But this is a lot stronger now, and this will push farther north. High pressure can't quite combat it, and we'll see some clouds and potentially a spotty shower in store for the early part of Saturday. And so, on our Skycast today, again, those rain showers do taper off. We'll see a stray shower south of Route 20 overnight tonight. 6 a.m. tomorrow, patchy fog gives way to sunshine. Clouds will still remain persistent to the south. And then as we head into the evening, clouds will increase once more. And then overnight, mostly cloudy, increasing chances for some spotty showers south of Route 20. And so we'll keep a close eye on the trend of these rain showers as we get more high-resolution data. But for now, unfortunately, the 7-day forecast now has some scattered showers to isolated showers on the Saturday icon here. And for Sunday, mostly cloudy. Temperatures both days in the upper 60s to low 70s. But following that, we could get a break of rain before next chance arrives by the beginning or middle of next week. Gary?
Eric, thanks. OSHA is proposing new emergency response standards nationwide.
Hurricane Helene has strengthened to a Category 3 storm as it zeroes in on the Florida coast.
Forecasters expect landfall sometime tonight. The storm will bring with it winds well over 100 miles an hour and a storm surge that could be catastrophic and deadly in some areas over 20 feet. The National Weather Service is now calling Helene one of the most significant weather events in the modern era. And it's not just affecting Florida. A number of states will be hit. New York State is sending first responders to North Carolina. 16 Swiftwater rescue personnel, 2 canines, and emergency response equipment. The team can conduct search and rescue operations in the water for people and animals and provide emergency medical care.
Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis tracking the track of this storm.
Yeah, it's a big one. 125-mile-an-hour sustained winds, just shy of a Category 4. It's a Category 3 storm. It is making, or I should say approaching, the Florida coast. Again, this was all expected, so far well forecasted. The next couple of hours are going to be critical, though, as this storm heads to the north. Again, it does make landfall along the Big Bend of Florida tonight, and then it rapidly loses energy, loses steam. Remember, hurricanes thrive on warm ocean water, and once this makes landfall, that energy gets cut off. So it does dissipate pretty quickly, and it is expected to turn to the west, being pulled in by another area of low pressure. As far as we're concerned, we're not expecting much impacts here, but notice this very far fringe area of very late rain. We might see a few sprinkles locally heading into Saturday evening. Again, other than that, it is going to be pretty quiet here. We're certainly going to miss the brunt of this storm. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Current temperature 66. It is turning out to be a generally cloudy, unsettled day. The rain, though, is going to move out. We are expecting drier conditions tonight, some patchy fog, and a nicer start to the weekend. This evening, temperatures into the upper 50s to low 60s. Showers come to an end. We've got a look at that weekend forecast coming up. Chase, back to you.
Bill, thank you. In Oneonta, Chestnut Street is closed.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We're tracking clouds that will give way to clearing skies as we head into this evening. This is a live look in downtown Utica, a temperature of 63 degrees. Let's compare this to Old Forge. This is the current scene to the north, and you can see completely clear skies, sunshine, a very beautiful evening. That clearing line will drop south as we head into tonight, so skies are expected to clear out. And the stage is set for a really nice Friday. If you're looking to get a jump start on the fall color, we're looking at near peak conditions in the Adirondacks this weekend. We should see a lot of color in areas like Old Forge, Hamilton County, the High Peaks region, Lake Placid, Tupper Lake, Saranac Lake. These areas will see a lot of color this weekend. We're seeing color emerge across the higher elevations too. A lot of these places will be near midpoint, which means about half the leaves have turned over, and we still have a ways to go here in the Mohawk Valley. As far as timing is concerned, I know some leaves got an early start, but the majority of them seem to be changing on schedule. This is a very typical time to start to see peak color emerge in the Adirondacks. It's usually late September to early October. Again, right on schedule. So you look at the radar and satellite image, again, a couple of sprinkles continue, but clearing skies are moving in from the west, and that will, again, arrive tonight. Westernville 67, West Berlin 65, Dolgeville 65 degrees, across Southern Valleys, Cooperstown 63, Oneonta 63, and Unadilla with 64. Bigger picture shows a cold front moving through today. Again, that's going to carry the clouds and showers with it. We'll see sunshine as we head into Friday as high pressure builds in from the north. The clouds that you see down to the south and west are part of a low pressure center, and that's also going to be related to the leftovers of Hurricane Helene. And again, that's going to be moving in as we head into the weekend, at least to the south. Tonight, looking at partly cloudy skies, patchy fog, overnight lows drop down into the low 50s. A beautiful Friday, lots of sunshine. It should be great weather for high school football. Temperatures climb into the low 70s. Tomorrow night, a few clouds arrive, and Saturday, the weather does look mostly cloudy. I think the majority of the day looks dry, but can't rule out a sprinkle here as we head into Saturday evening, especially south. Patchy fog tonight, low 51. Tomorrow, partly sunny, pleasant. Temperatures in the low 70s. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Again, the chance of a sprinkle here Saturday. Otherwise, it's a generally nice weekend. Sunshine on Sunday, 71. Temperatures warm up into the mid-70s Monday. It looks dry through Tuesday. Showers on Wednesday. Some cooler weather heading into the middle of the week.
Bill, thank you.
Helene is now a major Category 3 hurricane, one of the largest storms to come out of the Gulf of Mexico in the last century.
Yeah, the Cat 3 storm will soon make landfall near Florida's Panhandle. Michael Yoshida reports state officials are changing their message from evacuate to shelter in place.
Every minute that goes by brings us closer to having conditions that are going to be simply too dangerous to navigate.
The National Weather Service is using another term, unsurvivable. When it comes to the storm surge, Helene is expected to unleash on parts of the Florida coast in the coming hours.
If it's 20 feet like they're saying, it's going to change the landscape in Franklin County, I can assure you that.
Franklin and Taylor counties are in Helene's expected landfall zone. But for much of Florida's Gulf Coast, mandatory evacuations have been in place since Wednesday, with state and local officials imploring residents leave while you can.
Some people have made decisions that they're going to hunker down, even though they were requested to leave.
Regardless of that, the governor says rescue crews are standing by.
If there's people that are going to be in distress, we're going to be there to be able to assist in those efforts.
Their message now, survival.
If you hear trees snapping around your home, treat it like a tornado. Get to an interior portion of your home, get as low as you can.
And silence, officials warn, doesn't mean safe.
What that actually means is you're in the eye of the hurricane. All right? Do not go out and survey damage.
An eye that could be up to 50 miles wide, with more catastrophic conditions less than an hour behind it. Helene is expected to roar up the southeastern U.S., with impacts felt as far north as D.C. in the days ahead. Right now, along with Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, and Virginia are under a state of emergency. In Steinhatchee, Florida, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
Coming up, a Central New York concert announcement.
Also tonight, meteorologist Bill Curtis, some interesting facts when it comes to a Category 4 hurricane.
Yeah, we're looking at the categories of different hurricane speeds. This is called the Saffir-Simpson scale. It goes from 1 to 5, 1 being the least destructive. But still, you've got a Category 1 hurricane. You've got at least 75-mile-an-hour winds. But again, relatively minimal destruction. Walking up the list to Category 2, wind speeds 96 to 116 miles an hour. Again, that does some minor damage. Category 3 is usually what separates relatively minor events from really big events. That's where there's a lot of structural damage. So right now, Hurricane Helene is a Category 3 storm with 125-mile-an-hour winds. You can see it's kind of on the high end of a 3. We'll get into a Category 4 storm, and again, lots of things get destroyed here, catastrophic damage. A Category 5 storm is wind speeds higher than 156 miles an hour. Again, those are extremely rare. And again, as you can imagine, not many things can withstand that sort of force. So again, continuing to watch the Gulf of Mexico, Hurricane Helene making landfall tonight. Our local weather has been pretty quiet. We're going to get a chance to dry out this evening. The weather looks pretty quiet. If you want to take the dog for a walk, temperatures will be in the low 60s. Tonight's featured dog, Toby, from Whitesboro. This is brought to you by Nye Automotive Group. We are tracking a nice weekend here in central New York. A look at the forecast coming up. Kristen, back to you.
All right, let's talk more about Helene. We're going to get you back to Florida right now.
We heard from reporter Taylor County. We heard from a reporter in Taylor County, I should say, earlier in the broadcast. But now we're going to head to Tallahassee, where we find reporter Jay Gray.
Hey there, good evening. Helene, now a major hurricane and still barreling towards Florida's west coast right now, gaining momentum. That warm water in the Gulf really acting as rocket fuel to build on this storm. It's gaining strength, it's gaining size, it's speeding up as well as it heads towards the coast. We expect landfall sometime later this evening. It will bring with it winds well over 100 miles an hour and a storm surge that the National Hurricane Center calls catastrophic and deadly, saying that in some areas it could be as high as 20 feet and, again quoting here, unsurvivable. The time to prepare for this storm is just about over at this point. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, warning those who have plans to leave, you better do it now.
But if you are in the northern part of the state and you have access and you're in an evacuation zone and you've been told to evacuate, you do have time to do it now, so do it. But don't wait another 6 hours, 7 hours and say, oh man, this thing looks big, and think that you're going to want to go out. That will be very hazardous to do that.
Yeah, and the magnitude and intensity of this storm will likely be unlike many we've ever seen in this area. In fact, the National Weather Service now calling it one of the most significant weather events in the modern era. So we expect to see that storm surge. We expect to see the high winds. And Helene will have some staying power. In fact, forecasters saying it could still be at hurricane strength as it pushes well inland, in fact, across the Georgia border. And the wind field for this storm is massive. The footprint, more than 450 miles wide. It's going to affect a number of states. FEMA calling this a multi-state event. They believe as many as 6 states will see at least tropical force winds, and 9 states or more will be affected by Helene. That's the very latest from here in Tallahassee. I'm Jay Gray. Now back to you.
Now here's what the team's working on for News Channel 2 at 6. New York State.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We continue to track clouds and some showers across parts of central New York. It is dreary for most of the area. This is a live look in Oneonta, a temperature of 63. Compare this to Old Forge. The northern half of our area is enjoying sunshine. We've got a weather system moving through the region, a cold front, and in the wake of that cold front, we're going to see some sunshine build in. If not by the end of today, certainly by tomorrow. The weather looks really nice heading into Friday. Will this hold for the weekend? The answer is sort of. We're expecting more clouds to return. Overall, the weekend looks great. There could be a very brief sprinkle here late Saturday, 73 degrees. Sunday, mostly cloudy, 71. Again, it does look warmer. And again, looking like a nice weekend across central New York. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Again, a couple of sprinkles continue to linger in our area, but again, these are heading to the east. We need to see a decent rainfall and a much needed rainfall. We've been so dry throughout the month. We've made up some ground. A lot of places picked up about an inch of rain. Some places more than an inch and a quarter. The highest local total came from Camden, 1.85 inches. Lesser amounts south of the Mohawk Valley. About half as much rainfall fell in areas like Brookfield, only about a half an inch. But still, even a half an inch of rain, it's going to do pretty, it's going to be very much needed for all the dryness that we've been dealing with, the dry lawns. They're going to be a lot happier here going forward. As we look at temperatures, Whitesboro 64, Barneveld 63. It's cooler out there today. Again, mainly because of the clouds and showers. Mohawk 63, Inlet 59, Cooperstown 65, Skineva 63. This cold front will continue to head to the east. In its wake, we do have high pressure building in, but some clouds will also advance in from the south, and those will be arriving heading into the weekend. Tonight, patchy fog, overnight lows near 50. Beautiful day tomorrow, partly sunny skies, mild temperatures in the low 70s. Tomorrow night, clouds return. On Saturday, it's generally dry, a very small chance of a sprinkle, mainly late in the day and especially south. Temperatures will be near 70 degrees. And that shower chance is on the very, very, very northern fringe of Hurricane Helene. This is going to be making landfall tonight. Again, it's a major storm. It's going to curve to the west, but notice that last and very northern fringe of precipitation could make it as far north as our area on Saturday. No wind is expected. And again, by far the majority of the greatest impacts will be far, far away from our area. Patchy fog tonight, low of 51. Tomorrow, looking at partly sunny skies, pleasant temperatures in the low 70s. A little bit more cloud cover over the weekend, but again, still warm, temperatures in the low 70s. Monday and Tuesday look pleasant, partly sunny, temperatures in the 70s. Showers, cooler weather on Wednesday with highs in the 60s. Sunshine on Thursday, high temperature of 68. We'll be right back.
Closer to the Gaza border.
Continue to track Hurricane Helene as it closes in on Florida. Now a major Category 3 storm with winds as high as 120 miles per hour. Landfall is expected on Florida's Panhandle. The National Weather Service is using the word unsurvivable. This is when it comes to the storm surge that Helene is expected to unleash on parts of Florida in the coming hours. New York State is actually sending first responders to North Carolina. 16 swift water rescue personnel, 2 canines, and emergency response equipment. The team can conduct search and water rescues for people and animals and provide emergency medical care.
Time for our first look at the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis tracking that storm.
Yeah, we're tracking Helene. The latest update for the National Weather Service, 120-mile-an-hour winds. The update at 5 was 125. We're going to see that number change here as this storm approaches making landfall, which is it's expected to do tonight along the Big Bend of Florida. Again, this is a big storm. It's going to continue to move to the north here as we get into tonight and tomorrow, and then it turns to the west. And while the brunt of this storm is going to completely miss central New York, we may see a few clouds with this and maybe a sprinkle as we head into late Saturday. Locally, a few sprinkles, clouds linger around, especially in and south of the Mohawk Valley, but there is some clearing taking place to the north. This is a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. 65 degrees. Being reported at Griffiths and Rome, a few breaks of sunshine could lead to a really colorful sunset tonight as the sun sets in the west. We're looking at drying conditions tonight and tomorrow. We've also got to look at the weekend forecast here. Generally nice weekend ahead along with the latest fall colors. Showers come to an end this evening. Temperatures in the upper 50s. Again, tracking a nice weekend ahead. A look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. In Oneonta, Chestnut Street is closed.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
As you were just looking at, some fog starting to roll in, especially along higher elevations. Cold front continues to move through. Let's take a live look in downtown Utica, a temperature of 63 degrees. We saw some fog in Oneonta as well, but then we look to the north. It's a different story. We've got sunshine, clearing skies to the north, and a sharp contrast in the weather as a cold front continues to march through. In general, the clearing line will move across all of central New York as we head into this evening and tonight. Looking ahead to the weekend, cloudy skies on Saturday, a sprinkle late, a temperature of 73. On Sunday, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies with temperatures in the low 70s. Overall, a pretty nice weekend is expected. And if you want to get a head start on fall color, the best place to go is the Adirondacks. In fact, it's looking very colorful in the higher elevations, especially Old Forge, Hamilton County, the high peaks, Lake Placid, Tupper Lake, Saranac Lake. These are great places to go if you want to get a head start on looking at the fall color. I think a lot of those places will turn peak right around the calendar change. So I think this is a good weekend to get to take a look at those. And the weather is going to cooperate. That's no guarantee the following weekend. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Showers continue to move to the south and east. Rainfall totals, a lot of places picked up an inch of rain. We really needed it. It's been so dry. And this has been a very beneficial rainfall over the past 24 hours. Skywatchers, Bob and Clinton, 60 degrees. Lyman and Eaton, 64. Jeff and Mohawk, 63. And Worcester, Carroll with 62, a cool day. Here's the clearing line slowly pushing through. This should lead to a really nice sunset tonight, which happens in about 45 minutes. So we look at the radar and satellite image. Clearing skies to the north. That'll be our weather for tomorrow. The clouds to the south will return as we head into the weekend. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, widespread patchy fog is expected first thing tomorrow morning. Temperatures start out in the low 50s at 8 o'clock. Beautiful day tomorrow, partly sunny, warmer, temperatures in the low 70s. The weather remains dry for high school football. Dry weather expected heading into the weekend. Mostly cloudy skies on Saturday. A few sprinkles show up as we head late into the day. Otherwise, it's a pretty quiet weekend across central New York. Tonight, a patchy fog, a low of 51. Beautiful day tomorrow. Sunshine, temperatures in the low 70s. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Again, the chance of a sprinkle late Saturday. Otherwise, the weekend looks great. Sunshine in abundance Monday and Tuesday. Temperatures in the low 70s. Things start to change on Wednesday.
All right, Bill, thank you.
Still to come on News Channel 2 at 6 if you're looking for a miracle.
With Jason Palace.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Hurricane Helene has strengthened to a Category 4 hurricane, one of the largest storms to come out of the Gulf of Mexico in the last century. Category 4 means Helene has maximum sustained winds as high as 130 miles per hour with even higher gusts. Reporter Ivan Rodriguez is in Tallahassee, Florida, right in Helene's path.
Hurricane Helene is battering Florida with high winds and a devastating storm surge. Florida Highway Patrol said at least 2 bridges in Tampa had to be shut down. Experts say it will likely be the strongest hurricane to hit the U.S. in over a year.
Those impacts are going to be life-threatening in a staggering way.
Emergency declarations already approved for Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and Alabama. President Joe Biden issuing an urgent warning to all those in Helene's path.
Everyone needs to take it seriously, extremely seriously. The potential storm surge is well beyond the immediate path of the hurricane. Could be significant and deadly.
For much of Florida's Gulf Coast, mandatory evacuations have been in place since Wednesday, with state and local officials imploring residents to leave while they have the chance. Many veterans of previous hurricanes like Ian and Idalia are opting to stay put.
Some people have made decisions that they're going to hunker down, even though they were requested to leave.
Some Georgians a little farther inland making final preparations before Helene hits them.
We've been doing this for years. Been here 34 years, doing the same thing every year.
Just make sure we got everything prepared, because the last storm that came through was horrible.
In Tallahassee, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
New York State is sending first responders to North Carolina, 16 swift water rescue personnel, 2 canines, and emergency response equipment. The team can conduct search and water rescues for people and animals and provide emergency medical care. Time now for a first look at our forecast. Here's meteorologist James DeFazio.
Thank you very much, Jason. Taking a look at the live Doppler radar. Most of our showers that have given us some much needed rainfall today have moving off to the south and east. These will continue to move off to the south and east throughout the rest of the evening, so we will continue to dry out throughout the night. Current conditions at Rome, 60 degrees, a tad muggy, dew point right there at 59. We're keeping an eye on the fact that we're going to dry out both tonight and tomorrow. We have the latest for you on Hurricane Helene, which is currently a Category 4 and getting ready to make landfall right now, as well as an update on the weekend, which we have a slight update from yesterday with a little bit of a change in the forecast. Tonight, 51 degrees, some patchy fog. Back over to you.
All right, thanks very much. Now to a developing story.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good evening. Here we are taking a look at downtown Utica. Things have dried out. We did get some much needed precipitation this afternoon. Temperatures right around 61 degrees, but you can see on the roadways there things have dried out. 60 degrees currently at Rome. Dew point is very close there at 59 degrees, which is making it a tad humid out there and allows us to believe there's going to be some patchy fog both tonight and tomorrow morning. Currently 60 Rome, 59 Hamilton, 59 down in Binghamton. Temperatures are beginning to dip below 60 degrees. Taking a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live Doppler radar, we do have some showers still in the southern portions of our viewing area down in Otsego County and extreme southern Chenango County. These are going to continue to track to the south and the east and will not be a problem for us for very much longer. All rainfall is going to continue to move to the east, and we are going to have a nice dry day for tomorrow. Let's take a look at the temperature trend and what's ahead for the weekend. Warm weather. Temperatures stay above average, which is going to allow for opportunities this weekend to get out and view some of that foliage. Here's an updated look at what our fall foliage stands at locally. Most of the Adirondacks have reached their mid-peak, so there's quite a bit of color up there. Even everywhere in the valley locations are now showing some color. Hurricane Helene. Bad news here for the Big Bend. Currently a Category 4 hurricane, 140-mile-an-hour sustained winds. It's about 10 miles offshore. We're going to have a landfall here within the next hour. Things are looking pretty bleak for the areas south of Perry, Florida. The landfall looks to be somewhere between Perry, Florida, and Steinhatchee. Fortunately, as we move forward, despite impacts going to be very well inland, this does stall out to our south and west. When it does stall out to our south and west, it will only bring minimal impacts our way. Taking a look at Skycast. Tonight, mid-50s, decreasing clouds throughout the night. That patchy fog showing up for tomorrow morning. We do warm up pretty quickly, 54 in the morning, but right up into the low to mid-70s. Beautiful weather for high school football Friday night. Absolutely beautiful day for this time of September. As we move forward through Friday evening, you can see those clouds start to increase. Those are the outer bands from Hurricane Helene. These showers that are beginning to appear are also from the outer bands of Hurricane Helene. We expect some scattered showers to be around throughout the day Saturday. They are going to be fewer than far between than more common. We're not expecting a washout of any kind, but scattered showers are expected through Saturday evening, day, evening, and night. Tonight, we have a low of 51 degrees. We're expecting patchy fogs to develop at some point before daybreak. Taking a look at tomorrow, we have a high of 73, another very warm September day. Partly sunny skies, very pleasant conditions. Taking a look at the 7-day forecast. Friday, 73, no complaints there. Saturday, maybe a stray shower in the morning. Hopefully Helene keeps just to our southwest, but she's going to be right on the edge. We dry out Sunday, Monday. Beautiful weather for that foliage. Tuesday, another warm day. Wednesday, definitely going to be a little bit damp, but we do warm back up on Thursday.
All right, thanks, James. Coming up next,
with Jason Pallas.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Hurricane Helene has strengthened to a Category 4 hurricane, one of the largest storms to come out of the Gulf of Mexico in the last century. Now, Category 4 means Helene has maximum sustained winds as high as 130 miles per hour, with even higher gusts. Reporter Ivan Rodriguez is in Tallahassee, Florida, right now in Helene's path.
Hurricane Helene is battering Florida with high winds and a devastating storm surge. Florida Highway Patrol said at least 2 bridges in Tampa had to be shut down. Experts say it will likely be the strongest hurricane to hit the U.S. in over a year.
Those impacts are going to be life-threatening in a staggering way.
Emergency declarations already approved for Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and Alabama. President Joe Biden issuing an urgent warning to all those in Helene's path.
Everyone needs to take it seriously, extremely seriously. The potential storm surge is well beyond the immediate path of the hurricane. Could be significant and deadly.
For much of Florida's Gulf Coast, mandatory evacuations have been in place since Wednesday, with state and local officials imploring residents to leave while they have the chance. Many veterans of previous hurricanes like Ian and Idalia are opting to stay put.
Some people have made decisions that that they're going to hunker down, even though they were requested to leave.
Some Georgians a little farther inland making final preparations before Helene hits them.
We've been doing this for years. Been here 34 years, doing the same thing every year.
Just make sure we got everything prepared, because the last storm that came through was horrible.
In Tallahassee, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
New York State sending first responders to North Carolina. 16 Swiftwater rescue personnel, 2 canines, and emergency response equipment. The team can conduct search and water rescues for people and animals and provide emergency medical care. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis, tracking all of the data right now, literally in real time.
I'm literally posting an update right now on Facebook here. It looks like we have a landfall literally just at the last radar image scan.
4. Ooh.
This is a 4, yeah, 140 miles an hour from the National Hurricane Center, Big Bend of Florida, this has been a great forecast in terms of the accuracy, the location. The National Hurricane Center did their job.
Yeah.
Very well, too, because a lot of times these used to get missed. These rapidly intensifying hurricanes used to be very under-predicted, and lives are going to be saved because of that. Unfortunately, lives will be lost tonight, too. And we're really just hoping that for the best that people can get to safety here tonight. But again, that storm, where it is now, it's going to stay to our south and east. We're not going to have to worry about this locally. Tonight, showers, those will continue to move through. A temperature of 58 degrees. We've got, again, drying conditions as we head into tonight. Our weather will turn a lot nicer here as we head into tomorrow. I've got to look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. Now to a developing story. The Oneonta police chief has confirmed.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. As we track the hurricane tonight, with Hurricane Helene being a Category 4, what exactly does that mean? Category 4 storms, Category 1 storms, this is all part of the Saffir-Simpson scale. It's a tool, it's a scale that measures wind. A Category 1 storm has winds between 74 to 95 miles an hour. Relatively minimal damage is done. As we go up the scale, more damage happens. A Category 2 winds between 96 to 110. Earlier today, Helene was a Category 3 storm. That separates hurricanes, relatively minor hurricanes from major hurricanes, hitting 110 miles an hour. Hurricane Helene is currently a Category 4 storm. Catastrophic damage typically happens with this. An incredible storm surge. This is going to be one for the record books. Anything over 156 miles an hour is considered a Category 5, and those are exceptionally rare. To have a storm get this close to the coast and be this powerful, again, it's very uncommon. The eye making landfall tonight, this is going to turn to the north and weaken. As far as we're concerned, this is not going to be playing a role in our weather with any significance. We may see a few clouds with this and maybe a sprinkle here as we head into the weekend, but again, we're going to stay far away from the strong winds with this. 73 for a high on Saturday, mostly cloudy Sunday, 71. Fall foliage, the leaves are starting to turn, especially the higher elevations of the Adirondacks. If you are looking to see some color, that is going to be the best spot to go as we head into the weekend. Yes, this kind of looks a little scary, but you know what? This is in clear air mode. This is what the radar is actually showing tonight. A few sprinkles down towards the south. I actually want to go to the south here and show you the current conditions along the Florida Panhandle. This is the eye of the hurricane, and the reason why we can say definitively that this has made landfall is the center point, which is located right about here, has moved across land, and that literally just happened a few moments ago. Tonight, what's going to happen locally is we're going to see clouds generally depart to the south. Our weather looks generally quiet, some patchy fog. Beautiful day tomorrow. Clouds give way to sunshine. Temperatures climb into the low 70s. Notice these clouds spilling in from the south. These are the very, very fringe clouds from Hurricane Helene, and again, it could give us some cloud cover on Saturday. Again, not much other than that in terms of weather, aside from maybe a sprinkle. Patchy fog tonight, 51 for the low. Beautiful day tomorrow, 73 for the high. Nice weekend ahead. Next week, temperatures remain in the 70s. Partly sunny skies Monday and Tuesday. Things start to change as a cold front arrives, bringing showers on Wednesday along with cooler temperatures. But yeah, we're watching history in the making along the Florida coast tonight.
And we just hope everybody comes out of this safe, but you know it's not good down there right now.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Bill. Coming up next, the World Lacrosse Box